Greetings, YouTube. My wife and I last night watched the 2009 film Land of the Lost, starring Will Ferrell, Anna Friel, Danny McBride, and Jorma Taccone. Now, I said in the past I'm not what you'd call a Will Ferrell fan. He has made exactly one film that I liked, Stranger Than Fiction, and it is one of the best films I've ever seen. And it may just be the one quirk in his career, because every other film he's made has been either a complete and utter disappointment for me if I've seen it, or it looks so stupid I never saw it at all. Now, the reason I saw Land of the Lost is I had very fond memories of the original 1974 television series. I think it was 74. But I loved it. It was dinosaurs, and it was a lost world, and it involved humanoid lizard people, and it had kind of psychic powers with crystals and stuff. It was great fun. They remade it in the 90s, I believe. I think I watched a couple episodes, and it wasn't nearly as good. But it was just a great time, and it was corny as all get out, but I loved it. And my memories of it are probably far better than the actual series was. And so that's why I picked this movie up cheap at a yard sale, and that's why I decided to finally get around to watching it last night. I just wanted something that was supposed to be fairly light and entertaining. And then a dinosaur came into my living room and took a big steaming dump on my television, because this film sucked. I wasn't expecting much. Really, I wasn't. My expectations were low. They were not met. I'm going to blow things away from this film, so if you haven't seen it and want to see it, be warned that I'm about to spoil it. Now, the film opens with a lost astronaut. He's lost in the lost world, and he has a horrible end of some variety. It's not quite shown in that scene what happens, but it's not good, let's put it that way. Now, if we actually lost an astronaut, that would be international news forever. But why open a scene that's called Land of the Lost with a scene showing a character in the Land of the Lost? It was just dumb. You should have a little build-up. Let it be based in our world. Show the character that wants to go to that world as being some nutbag, and then you prove that the world is real. You don't introduce the film with the world being real. I'm like, wow, that was a really bad directing and editing choice. Regardless of the quality of the film from this point on, from the get-go, you've spoiled the film. You've destroyed the storyline. Okay, so then we get to the characters. And calling these people two-dimensional would be an insult to two-dimensional objects. These characters were less than flat. They were lines. They were one-dimensional. And Will Ferrell's character, Dr. Marshall, was one of the most offensively unpleasant people I've ever seen on film, that wasn't intended to offend the audience. I don't think he was intended to offend the audience, and yet he did. The female lead, of course, is a romance in the film as opposed to the television series, where it was a father and two children. Chaka, the native they meet in the world, played by Jerome, what was his last name? Taccone, or Taccone, was just horrible. He was, it was just no good. It was no fun. I guess this thing was supposed to be a comedy. I think I laughed in one or two scenes, so I guess if their goal was to make me laugh, it worked. But for the most part, I was bored out of my mind. Some of the scenes were pretty. The sets showed that they put some effort into it. The dinosaurs they had in the film were quite good. They were quite attractive. The CGI was well done. So they put some effort into that, and I appreciate that. And I hope the guys that did that work got some more gigs out of it, because they deserve it. But the one reason I really watched this film were the Sleestaks, because I loved the Sleestaks. They were so cool, and they did a perfect job of emulating the Sleestaks from the 1974 version of the film, of television series. They did a spot-on job. And they took these creatures, this race of beings, nowhere. They didn't advance them. They had the opportunity to take them into new directions, to make them interesting, to have a new twist, a new slant, to make them their own. And all they did was clone the original. And in 2009, slow-moving guys in rubber suits weren't all that interesting. So the Sleestaks were a disappointment for me as well. So the film was a failure for me on pretty much every level. If you watched it and you enjoyed it, cool. But I didn't, and I cannot recommend this film for anybody under any circumstances.